Welcome to By George, an 80 Players podcast here at the George Theater. I'm your host and marketing associate, Miranda Zapes, and today I have with me Jayme McGhan, our first returning guest to the podcast.
Returning.
You're the first one to return, and you were the very first episode to ever go out.
I'm glad that you are having me back on because clearly that first one wasn't too terrible.
No, I mean, we wouldn't be here today without it, obviously. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at it. I don't know if it's the one that has the most views. I think the one that I recently did with Father Micah Snell has the most views on our channel. Yeah.
It's because he's a good guy.
Yeah. And I mean, also
much more intelligent than I am, significantly.
And he teaches classes, so he has an in with
It's true, yeah.
popularity.
He's probably making the students
it's
watch
part of homework, guys. You have to do it to get a good grade.
Watch my podcast.
Yeah. Anyways, but we're going to be here. We're going to be talking about our new season, our 2025-2026 season. But first, before we get into all of that, I did want to a blanket statement. How do you feel the George is doing? How have we grown since the last time that we've spoken?
Yeah, well, my goodness, that was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So it's been a joy and a blessing to continue to press on doing the work that we do, for sure. I think, just like every other arts organization in this country, we continue to be hit by all sorts of things, right? Like funding has become problematic for a lot of places, and that's true for us as well. Mm-hmm. And finding the right folks who believe in our mission and what we do and why we do it to kind of get behind us in that and really propagate that mission has been, it's kind of slow going, but the work itself has been amazing. I think the seasons have been awesome. The shows have been fantastic. I think we've done really engaging work. Still family-friendly fare, still very missional, and I'm really excited about where we're at right now. I think that there's a lot more work to be done, and we're in the process of doing it, but we have an exceptional team, and we are at it. We are at the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's interesting to think back when I first started here and first started doing the podcast. It felt like everything that we did, I know we had our Metzler New Works Festival mm-hmm. and these smaller things that we were working towards, but to now see some of these newer works actually coming to the stage, I think is really interesting.
Yeah, 2-3 years later, you're like, oh, here we go.
Oh, here
we're actually gonna put it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that fun?
It's awesome.
In fact, the last time that we chatted, I had teased Crime and Punishment.
Oh my god! Oh
in the first episode,
mm-hmm.
and here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to cut those two together now because I didn't realize that until you just said it. I was like, I've cut that clip so many times.
So I really, really, really want to adapt Crime and Punishment for our stage and reincorporate the faith element back inside of it because, but I also want to do it for the digital age.
I see.
So I'm going to do a modern adaptation of it mm-hmm. in the digital age using the internet as mm-hmm. kind of these... the synaptic connections that we see a lot in the book, as Dostoevsky writes it, we're in Raskolnikov's, we're in his head all the time. And so could we do that digitally via, social media, via search history, via, all those things. Next, year and a half after I've got a couple of other scripts I've got to finish that I'll mm-hmm. probably do that. That'll be the adaptation. But yeah, so there you go.
Come in 2024.
Yeah, and I promise people, it's not just boring Russian literature. It's really exciting stuff.
But anyways, getting into our season, I want to say off the top, if you haven't checked out our season, or you don't know for whatever reason, we are doing Freud's Last Session, Narnia, Crime and Punishment, written by the lovely Jayme McGhan.
I'm lovely.
The Incredible, the Wonderful, a new works, Brother Andrew, based off of the New York Times bestseller God Smuggler, and then ending out the season, Big Summer Musical with Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Mm-hmm. Let's go, so now that we know where we are, if you didn't already know, let's go back. How do you even begin to choose a season?
Yeah, it's alchemy. That's the best way to put it. So you're trying to figure out about 3,000 different factors all at once and then taking your best guess as to what will work best. Now, there's some things that we can really kind of hone in on. So the easiest answer I can give you is that a majority of the plays that are in the American canon or even the world dramatic canon are not available to us because they don't fit our mission, right? Or there's aspects of them that our audiences won't necessarily appreciate or whatever it may be, right? Mm-hmm. And so the first step is to say what are the titles actually available to us that we can produce that are still compelling, that we think our audiences will like. There's a bunch of stuff that we can do that frankly I just don't think our audiences will like very much, our team won't be totally excited about too. So We start with a pile of plays. And in fact, we're not just planning one season. We're planning 1, 2, 3 seasons ahead and say, okay, what makes the most sense as far as diversity of what we're presenting? We always want to try to get as many comedies in that season as we possibly can. And frankly, there's just not that many comedies we can do. So we're in the process of building those comedies out. But then we have to look at budgets. We have to look at cast size. We have to look at build, how long it's going to take to build this. How much is it going to cost to build this? We have to look at what our expected ticket revenue is, and then put that against what the thing is actually going to cost us, and make sure that we're not losing money on productions. So there's business aspects of it. There's artistic aspects of it. There's personnel aspects of it. It is all over the place. And so the best way, like I said at the beginning, the best way I could say it is it's alchemy. You're literally just trying to figure out, okay, this is all coal or ore or whatever it is, and we're going to try to make this into gold and see what happens. And sometimes we're spot on. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of that. Wizard of Oz is maybe the biggest title we've ever done. And we poured tons of resources into that and really, really went wild on that show, trying to draw some new members to the theater, some new audience members to come and enjoy what we do and why we do it. And it did really well, but it still didn't make goal, right? So we still didn't sell as much as we thought we would, and we ended up losing money on that production. So we have to be really careful about that. We can only do that once or twice a season, tops. Otherwise, we start to take it on the chin, and then we have problems. And so it's a lot of different factors all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't begin to imagine. And I think it's interesting because people will come up to me, or you'll just kind of hear the chatter around of like, oh, why did you choose this show? And oh, for whatever reason. And it's like, this was made like years ago. This was months ago when we finally made these decisions. And it's like, based on what I think of, like when The Wizard of Oz, like when we did that, like Wicked was a really big thing that was happening alongside it.
Yep.
Crime and Punishment, I think there's like a TV show that's coming out sometime in the next year.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And so the
that's
fact
cool.
that we're doing it again, it's like, I just think I've heard, and I couldn't give you an example of people being like negative about it. And it's like, okay, well, this wasn't something that we just like yesterday decided to do. And so it doesn't really like fit in with our current like climate. We didn't see like the political state of the world or anything and go, oh, we're going to do this show now to whatever.
Oh, no. You make the decision like a year and a half. In fact, next season is being decided in the next 2 weeks. So now our season's already going up for this year, the 59th season. We haven't even opened the 59th season.
Right.
And in the next 2 weeks, our next season will already be completely decided upon. So the world changes and shifts accordingly. And like, it is what it is. And sometimes it's like, wow, this is wild that this stuff is really kind of landing where it's landing. And a lot of that I think is just God's sovereignty and like knowing in that space, like, hey, these things will be happening at that time.
Yeah.
You're going to produce this show. But all some of it, like I said, is just pure chance. Like you just go, I have no idea. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think of things like when we did like Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes.
And I mean, even with The Wizard of Oz and then again with Crime and Punishment, it feels like once every season there's something that's like, oh, this was perfect timing.
It's wild,
or this
isn't
is
it?
like, coincidental.
I'm trying to think like what's going to happen this year with the shows that we're doing right now.
Yeah, I know, let's hope.
Luckily, I don't think there's anything that's like too terrible.
Yeah.
Aside from double axe murder, but hopefully that's not like something that happens in the broader world. Like,
yeah. Well.
double axe murders are terrible. Just to be clear. All right.
No, obviously. But I think of like, and I know that that's not what we do here, but I think of just the state of our country and everything, and it's just when you start to get into like dystopian like stories and things like that, I'm like, that's very. Just interesting.
And listen, Crime and Punishment 2026 it lives in that world. Yeah, for sure.
But how did you come to like? Is there a little story or kind of tale of how you came upon each of the shows that we're doing this season?
Yeah, let's start with the fall. I think that's a really easy way to do this. So let's get into the business aspects of it. So the first slot of the season, when you run as a theater company, you're running from fall, or basically we run from September 1st all the way through the end of August. And some theaters run from January 1st and do kind of a standard fiscal year. And we kind of follow the school calendar, right? And more and more theaters are moving to the standard fiscal year. We kind of have stuck to the school calendar for the time being. But that first slot is always very difficult for people to come and see shows, or it's not as exciting for them to see shows because there's a billion things happening. And frankly, we live in Houston, Texas, and SEC football takes the cake for everything. So we have to be really careful about what we program in that first slot, right? Because we will take a loss on it if we're not careful with that. And so the first slot of the season is really mirrored for our Christmas show this year. So when we decided we wanted to do Narnia the musical, which I'll talk about in a second, thinking through, well, what would be a show that's really affordable for us to produce, still compelling, still interesting, and one I love. And Freud's Last Session was a no-brainer. Now, we did this show about a decade ago at the Grace Theater. We have never done it at the George Theater, but it is a wonderful show, and especially for folks who are interested in apologetics or interested in why we believe in what we believe, and it's and on both sides, believers and unbelievers alike. It's one of those shows that really compels you to think and really kind of sit with things and question things. And like there are conversations that Freud and C.S. Lewis have in this show that when I first saw this production, or I first saw this show maybe 12, 13 years ago, I still think about them to this day, where I go, that was really good. I'm gonna process that a little bit more. And so that was a great show to put in that first slot because it then moves into Narnia, which C.S. Lewis obviously is the, he wrote Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is what it's based off of in the Chronicles of Narnia. So that combo was really kind of an easy one to make for the first part of the season, for sure. And Narnia, the musical, is... we're giving it the full treatment, right? So we're giant, massive puppets operated by 3 people and probably a 15, 20 foot tall Aslan, right? Like, I mean, all sorts of cool stuff that you're going to see on that stage, rotating scenic elements, beautiful set design. All of that is what I think our audiences have come to expect from our musical productions. And this one will not disappoint. And it's a perfect one for the Christmas season. Kevin and I had written Texas Carol Part 1 and Part 2.
Right.
Part D. And there was some asks for us to do number 3 as well.
And I think everybody or a lot of people thought that there was going to be a trilogy.
And honestly, some people were also like tired of it. They wanted us to do something else. And so I am one to listen to those folks because if I don't have to write something, I'm not going to.
Right.
And frankly, I've run out of Texas jokes. Like Kevin says, I've got a ton. I've still got a ton. I'm like, I don't, and that's the problem. Like if this is a mutually beneficial, writing partnership, like we got to both be in it. So we may get back to that at some point. We will certainly reproduce Texas Carol at some point, and Texas Carol Part 2, and maybe we'll get to a trilogy at some point too. But this is a really fun time for us to kind of be more family friendly so that people can really bring their kids. Not that Texas Carol wasn't.
Right.
It's just a lot of that stuff probably went well over their heads, right? They don't understand a lot of the things that were happening in those shows. And this one, they will be able to understand, engage with, and feel the magic of Christmas. So this year is a magic of Christmas kind of year, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody just needs a little joy right now. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's one that, again, because the Texas Carol and A Texas Carol Part 2 were new works, it's a matter of like, you have this nostalgia that's around Narnia as well. That
That's right.
oh yeah, I remember reading that when I was like in elementary school, and I'm sure a bunch of other people remember reading it or seeing the movie and those kinds of things. So yeah, it really awakens that Christmas spirit and nostalgia along with it. And 100%. So I think you're going to get a lot of people just on that alone.
Yeah, it's going to be delightful,
Like
I'm excited to bring my kids to it, and that tells me a lot. If I'm excited to bring my kids, I'm like, cool, because I don't like bringing them to anything. They're just they're the worst. I'm kidding. I love my children dearly.
Just leave them at home.
Watch yourselves.
And if you did a trilogy, if you wrote the third of Texas Carol, then would you still be doing Crime and Punishment this year? Because then you'd have to be writing 2 things.
Oh no, definitely not. I've got basically one a season in me is what I've got, and that's always been true about my playwriting career. And I've been writing plays for 25, 26 years now. I mean, my MFA is in playwriting. This is what I do. It's what I can do for our theater more than anything else. And like one full length is about what I can do. And Crime and Punishment took it out of me. I mean, that thing.
I can't, yeah.
That thing took it out of me. It was, sitting in my head for 7 years. I guess we can move on to that one next. But, and so, yeah, it really did a number on my psyche for a hot minute. And I'm way better now. I'm good. But, I don't think I would have been able to. But I am actually working on a new one now, which is great. So, like, I got that out of me so then I can start on the next one. But it took me, I've been done with that show for 4 or 5 months. And it took me that long just to get, like, the breath of creativity again in me, because I was just like, oh.
Yeah. Has anybody ever compared you to Hamilton? Like that, the song, Why Do You Write Like You're Running Out of Time? Because you're writing all the time.
Yeah. No, I hadn't considered that. I sure have.
Okay. As I was writing my questions,
writers.
I'm so sorry. That was like the worst joke. But as I was writing my questions down earlier, I was like, why is Jayme like Hamilton? Why is he constantly writing new stuff?
Well, it's because I'm a writer.
Right.
So in grad school, I had a professor named Jerry Crawford. And he was very adamant. This was at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Jerry's since passed, but he was a staunch. He was very staunch about the fact, and he would say it all the time. He'd say, "Writers write," and that was embedded in me very early on. I mean, I'm tattooed onto my soul that writers write, and so if I'm not writing, I'm not a writer. And so that's why I write all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily sit down and hit the keys, right? Sometimes I outline. Honestly, sometimes I just think, and that's writing.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I'll literally spend 2 hours sitting in my chair listening to an album in my office at night, and just walking through a narrative in my head over and over and over again, or reassessing or whatever it may be. And I'm like, okay, my writing's done for the night. And I didn't do a thing, right? I didn't put one piece of word on paper, but once it's all there, then it can all come out super easy. And that's how it works. Yeah. So Crime and Punishment was the same way.
For 7 years, though.
Yeah, for 7 years of the idea.
Okay.
And then when it actually was time to actually write it, it was really quick. I mean, I was able to do it. I mean, I think I had a first draft within 2 weeks of starting to write it, but it's because I knew what I was doing all the way through. I knew exactly where I was going. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I had read the 4 translations I wanted to read. And so, and then I figured out how to modernize it and put it into the contemporary digital sphere. And then it was game on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that? So we have Freud, we have Narnia, and then Crime of Punishment. It was just was it happenstance of this was the year that you were like, this is when I'm going to get it done. It needs to finally come out of me, and that's how we've ended up here. Yeah.
Well, Crime and Punishment 2026 is a modern adaptation of the book, and if you have not read the book, I still think it's the greatest book ever written besides the Bible, which is obviously a series of books. But it was one of the shows that. And I think I mentioned this on our first podcast, but it's one of those things. It's been adapted a handful of times for the stage, but people are very nervous about putting Dostoevsky's faith bent into their versions of it. So that's very lightly touched upon. But if you read that book all the way through, it is people in desperate need of grace and desperate need of mercy and in desperate need of help. And they continually bring faith into the fold, like nonstop. You know, it's oftentimes called the greatest book ever written for the notion of psychological development of character. It's an impressive study of the psychology of humanity, an impressive study, truly. I tend to think that that's actually the cherry on top of the sundae. I think it is an impressive study on faith and the need for grace. And so when I approached it for this particular season, I wanted something like that. I wanted something that was going to be challenging to our audiences, that younger audiences would be really interested in, right? So I guarantee you I'm going to get a slew of letters about this thing. I'm going to get dozens and dozens and dozens of letters. Good thing is I can back it up because I wrote it, right? So, and hopefully not. Hopefully people are able to come in and understand that, by the way, this book is taught in every classical Christian school in this country. So if you're listening to this podcast, don't get too upset yet. But, you know, there's aspects of it that are really difficult. You know what I mean? It delves into, obviously, murder is the big one, right? It delves into prostitution. It delves into addiction. It delves into suicide. It is dark, but it is so redemptive. And so when the redemption hits, it's that much more palpable and powerful. And so that was why we put it in this season, because I wanted something that was going to be challenging. I also wanted something that I knew I could literally back up and defend all the way through, in case our audiences had questions or were concerned. And I still expect those conversations, and I actually look forward to them. I think it'll be a lot of fun to have those conversations. But that's kind of why it was placed in there, and also really to drive younger audiences to understand, like, okay, this is classical literature. This is one of the big classics, but it's still very relevant to today. And let me show you why, because it exists in the digital sphere, right? So when we get into Raskolnikov's brain, and in the play he's called Rodia, Rodia's brain, it's through the digital lens. It's through Reddit. It's through YouTube. It's through Facebook and TikTok, and it's through social media. That's how we get the inner monologuing that we get so much of it in the novel. Like, how do you do that without just being a bunch of monologues on stage, which that's no fun. That's boring. Put it in the digital sphere. Use, video cameras, like do all of that, and it works. And I got to say, like, I was kind of like blown away by how easy it was to make that transition from 1865 St. Petersburg to this amorphous globalized city that just is set in that digital sphere. Breezy. It was like butter. It was wild how easy it fit.
Yeah. Well, humanity. I mean, it's just the same story
That's right.
on repeat.
We just cycle the same stuff over and over and over again. Yeah. Narcissism and nihilism are not new. They've existed for, Nietzsche maybe coined it a little bit and spent some time really studying it, but there was nihilism back in the Romans and the Greeks and the Egyptians. And I mean, it's been through the entire course of humanity, because there's, like we said in the first podcast, there's this deep flaw within us. And that's part of it. So,
and I know it's something that we've probably talked about in the last podcast, or something that I've mentioned as I've done this over the past 2.5 years. But it is like there's two ways that I want to go with it. One is that you do need to have that dark to have that light.
That's right.
Without going to those super dark places. And you wrote recently a letter that we have a secret project coming out. Hopefully that we'll be able to reveal soon. But you wrote a letter for it, and you talk about that and how Jesus went to all of these like lower places and these dark places, but that's where like his people were. And
that's right. Yeah. I think I talked about the Decapolis in there. Right? So the Decapolis, it was the first place when Jesus started his ministry in earnest. Not that ministry wasn't started previous, but when he finally said, all right, it's time to roll, right? I am the Son of God, follow me. The first place he went is the Decapolis. And the Decapolis is a 10-city area of heathens and pagans that no self-respecting rabbi would ever go to. Certainly not a Pharisee or a Sadducee. They would not be caught dead there. And Jesus is like, hey guys, guess where we're going? Right there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things about Christian art in particular. The church has a long, sordid history of both propagating art and also just completely squashing it in every possible way. And I've always found that to be silly. Like, you're never going to defeat any kind of narrative. Narrative is going to get out there however it is, because we have free will, right? And so the idea that you can somehow tell truth in story without getting into the hard stuff is just silly to me. And so what we don't want to do is just, present plays that are just like, they have no gravitas. They don't really weigh on your soul by any means. We can't do that. That's not what we're called to do. We're still going to present plays that are joyful, just fun for the sake of fun, et cetera, entertaining for the sake of entertaining. But we also need to be challenged. And when we can do that through a Christian lens, I think it's pretty cool. So Crime and Punishment 2026 is exactly that. Yeah.
And this is another part, I think it just fits in with what we're talking about, is something that me and Jesse say a lot in marketing is when we're like doing the subscriptions, or when it comes to like making the seasons, it's not meant, like all 5 shows aren't supposed to like be geared towards every single person. Like, you shouldn't be coming in watching all 5 shows.
That's right.
There should be a diversity to it.
That's right.
And I think that there's always at least one show in our seasons that really pushes that boundary and does challenge audiences and really looks for who that new person is. Like, hey, come here and see what we do, because it's not just all of this. I don't, flannelgrams is what I always think of.
Flannelgrams.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like a portion of us, and even me, like when I watch television, I just go back to 2 shows. I go back to The Office,
right,
and I go back to Parks and Rec, because I know them, and I want to like laugh, and I know what I'm about to get, and that's okay. And then I have to challenge myself. Like, I'm not immune to this. I have to challenge myself and go, there's a lot of other stuff out there that I could be watching and be, challenged by or edified by or whatever it may be. And so I'm not immune to that either. I mean, there's gems that I want to come back to all the time as well. But when I'm writing specifically, when I'm actually in process, that's where I really feel more engaged in that space of really wanting to kind of step outside of my own box.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and adapting Russian literature was certainly that for me. I've never done that before, and I'll never do it again.
I wonder why.
A lot of time, a lot of energy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to the next show in our season, we're doing Brother Andrew, which is a new work, prog rock musical, written by Neil Morris, right?
Yeah. It doesn't really fall in the prog rock category, except for maybe if Jason, as he's orchestrating it. So Jason Hart is our music director on that one. He's also a massive prog rock guy. So if he like adds some prog elements in it, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, it's written by Neil Morris, based on God Smuggler, the New York Times bestseller. I get the joy and privilege of directing it, and I'm very excited about that. But it's a sung-through musical. It's a rock musical. It's got elements of like, it's still got the wonderful, beautiful songs that a lot of musicals have, the big kind of park and bark gorgeous arias, all that, but it's also got some really great rock songs in it. It's got some bombastic stuff in there, which I don't think we've ever really seen on our stage before. But the story's fantastic. It's a story of Andrew Vanderbilt, who was a Dutch soldier who gets injured in war and has this kind of moment where he connects with the divine and the ineffable and the glory of God, and he gives his life to Jesus. And in that moment, he starts this great work of, and this is a real character, by the way, this is the real story that happened, where the Iron Curtain had already fallen post-World War II, and you have all this Eastern Bloc countries that have completely banned religion. And this guy's like, you know what? I'm going to go smuggle Bibles. And he does. He smuggles Bibles across the Iron Curtain, and it's like part spy thriller, part romance, part like self-discovery, all that stuff. But it's about a young man who comes into his own by doing this incredibly scary and courageous and brave work of bringing the word of God to people who had otherwise been completely banned from reading it. And it's not to say that people forget about this, but like the Iron Bloc, it's not like everybody immediately turned into a bunch of like atheistic communists, right? Like that's not what happened.
Right.
People maintained their faith. They just were not allowed to do it publicly. And so there was a secret church all over the place, all over Russia, all over literally all of the Eastern Bloc and the Soviet Bloc. They were still maintaining and they were still pushing forward. They just had to do it super quietly. Otherwise they would be either sent to the gulags, executed, all that, right? And so I think what Neil's heart was for that, he read that book and he was like, I got to write this into a musical. His heart for that was really about kind of the courage of having faith, right? Like if you're going to have faith, you're going to have to step out eventually, and you're going to have to kind of stand up to the wiles of the world, whatever they may be on either side, right? And that's what I love about it so much, is that it's a story about a guy that just steps out in faith and does it. And then all the cool stuff that happens because of it. It's really beautiful. Yeah. There's some seriously miraculous moments that occur. Like God was with him the entire time. And you go, dang.
Yeah.
Like what, if he could do that, like, why am I not, in a way, right? Like I feel challenged just listening to it. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not doing enough, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that was the same. I felt that when we did How to Die the Life of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Is very much in the same way of like, how did he have the courage to do everything that he did, and what it, to
stand up to fascism, to stand up to Nazism, to stand up and say absolutely not. Yeah,
absolutely.
Full stop. Like I love that show. Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
So good, wasn't it?
It's very good.
We should remount that at some point. Maybe we will.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. And then we get to our final show, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Go, Joseph. I can't sing. Yes, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, a big old campy romp through the Old Testament. Super fun. Yeah, I saw that show many, many years ago when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I may be like a teenager, like 15 or 16 years old. And I do remember being like, what is going on? Why are they all singing and dancing and telling the story of and then I saw it more recently, and I was like, okay, this is pretty fun. Listen, we've been producing shows for 59 years. We have never done Joseph. It's time to do Joseph.
That's wild.
Yeah,
okay.
59 years as a Christian theater company. It's the world's leading Christian theater company.
Right.
We've never done Joseph. Okay. And it's a big title, and it's very fun. It's got a lot of camp to it. If you haven't seen the show before, it's it's part silly, part like just blast you in the face musical, like all that stuff, and it's a joy. It's a lot of fun. So there's not much more to say about that one, except that it's a big summer musical at 80 players, and we're hoping folks show up for it and have a grand time.
And I feel like most of our audience will also have at some point like come across it, and it will also be another nostalgic show for them. Yeah,
so. Every single little like high school in the world does Joseph at some point, and we have not, and so we're like, all right, we're gonna do Joseph. So we'll take one crack at it. We may not do it again, but we'll go at it one time and have a good time. So yeah.
So we have 3 musicals this year.
Yes.
And I know when we first started talking, we were talking about budgets and we look at all the cast and everything, but it feels like a lot to do 3 musicals in 1 year. How does...
It is a lot. Well, yeah. So it mostly happens to be the way that we kind of set the season up. Okay. We intend to probably move into more straight plays the following year.
Gotcha.
And we may not even do a musical the following year. Y'all will see in March when we announce our season.
Right.
But this one just happened to be kind of the way that we set it up. So we knew that we wanted to do Narnia. Narnia needs a level of spectacle. Christmas needs a level of spectacle. You got at the Alley, they do Christmas Carol, and it's fantastic because they got all the fun magic and all that stuff. And we're like, okay, we need something that has a little bit more panache in that space. And so that was kind of a no-brainer. Like, we're going to do that one. Especially because there's not that many good Christmas shows out there. If y'all are listening to this, and if you have Christmas shows that you love or that you've written and that have a faith element, send them to us because we are striking out. That's why we keep writing them. And so that one was kind of a no-brainer. And then Brother Andrew was just, listen, we got to do this thing because we've been working through it. We've workshopped it for 2 years. And it's so good. The music is so incredible, and it's just ready to go. And then summer is summer. Like summer, we've been producing musicals. We may not. We may move away from that, especially if they don't sell nearly as well as we'd like them to.
Right.
We may kind of take a step back from that space. So that's a warning to you, 80 Players audiences. Step up. Come to the shows. Yeah. Buy friends for tickets.
You say you like the musicals and the bigger shows. Let's
let's go. Yeah, so that's kind of how it worked out for this year, and it will probably adjust next year. But yeah, we got 3 this year. We do only have 2 live orchestrations.
Okay.
So Brother Andrew is a smaller rock band, and then Joseph is it's a big orchestra. Okay. But Narnia is tracked because we don't have enough space to put an orchestra with all the different stuff we have on stage. So all of that goes all the way to our back wall. Our designs are massive for it, and so the only way that we can do that is by not having an orchestra, by using tracked music all the way through. So still have a music director. Jonathan Kraft, our beloved music director that works with us all the time, is coming back to work with us. Yeah. But he's not conducting this time, right? It's just he's going to work with our actors to get where they need to be vocally. And then we've got Jonathan coming back for Joseph, so he'll get his chance at conducting his orchestra that he's so good at and loves doing. And so, and then Jason Hart will be our music director for Brother Andrew. He's coming in from New York. And so, yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out.
Amazing.
Yep.
So when you're working towards the season, so before we came across these 5 shows, I'm sure there were other shows that we wanted to have in the season that ultimately we couldn't get or couldn't receive. The business aspect of it, how do you creative problem solving and move forward from not being able to necessarily have an idea of what show you want and then the business side taking it away?
And the rights not being given to you, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, every time that we want to produce a play, we have to get the rights for it. So we reach out to the publishing house and try to get them to give us the rights. And, and sometimes that doesn't happen. So we've got certain plays that, again, 90% of plays and musicals that are out there available to every other theater, they're not available to us. And that is a problem. It's really difficult to kind of navigate that. And in many ways, it's the reason why Jeanette Cliff George started writing so many plays. She became a playwright for that exact reason. So it was kind of serendipity that they hired a playwright to be the executive artistic director so that I can kind of help navigate that. But it's a bummer, when we really wanted to get rights for like Peter Pan Goes Wrong, and we weren't able to get those because another theater has already secured those rights. And so that's the kind of stuff that, and Play That Goes Wrong, we did a fantastic production of it that was lauded and praised and people adored it. And we get asked all the time when we're going to do that one again. Right. And the answer is that, we can't just turn around 2 seasons later and reproduce it. We got to give it a little bit of a breath. And so yeah, it's tricky. It's like you said, it's creative problem solving. You just go, okay, that one's not available to us. We do need a comedy, so what are we going to go towards next, right? And so like I'm writing a comedy right now. That's my next one. And so and probably going to be my next 2 or 3 is just pure comedies, just to try to build stuff out that we can actually produce. Because the truth is we can't cut language out of other shows. So even if the play is close, but there's an F-bomb in there, or there's some sort of, something, or it demands like that somebody comes out in a particularly revealing outfit or something like that our audiences are not going to enjoy, then we have to kind of adjust and try to do something else. And so it's problematic, but it hasn't been like insurmountable by any means, right? We're doing the work to try to build out the corpus of plays that we can do. And so Andy Peterson, who wrote How to Die, is working on a Christmas comedy for us right now.
Love it.
And he's also working on a couple of other different fun comedies. I mean, he's naturally a comedic writer anyway. And so like asking him to do, the only reason he got asked to do How to Die, the Life of Dietrich Bonhoeffer is because he's a German Lutheran. And so, and he loves Bonhoeffer. So it's like, well, this makes all the sense in the world, right? But he's not naturally inclined towards kind of more the dramatic form. He's inclined towards the comedic form. And so we're finding the places where that makes sense for us.
But I'm so glad that you brought that up. Being a person, and I know I say it all the time, not in theater, that that was something that I think I had wondered but never put words to it of, it feels like there's so many shows that we could do if we could just cut out a line here, if we could just change a costume here, it would make everything flow better. But you're right, in the rights of it, you can't.
Yeah,
so.
It's illegal. You can get permission from the playwright, but oftentimes the playwrights wrote those words for that reason, right? Like people would be probably shocked to hear that you probably can't produce 80% of the plays that I've written at this theater, and I run this theater, right?
Right.
Because either there's things in there that are shocking, or there's some language or whatever it may be, and that's an earlier time of my life that I wrote those things, but it's not to say that I wouldn't write them again. I think every play that I've ever written has an element of faith to it, and I just got into some really darker areas, and so that's the hard part for us, right? Is to find things that like is not going to turn our audience base off completely, but also is going to challenge them in the right way. And it's tricky, especially with an evangelical base. It's tricky to try to do that. I'm not going to lie, like it ain't easy, but it's worth it. It's worth pursuing those things because the church needs edification too, and the church needs to be challenged. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If again, I say this all the time, but if you are offended by any little thing, then good luck with the Bible, because the Bible is the most offensive thing I have ever read in my life, by far. Like by far, it's the most offensive thing, and I find it to be awesome.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Do you ever think that we'll get to a point where maybe some of your older works or stuff that to us right now feels like would be pushing the boundaries too far? Do you ever think we'll get to a place where we can, if we keep challenging people little by little?
Well, it's like what you said, which is that you interject 1 or 2 shows a season that do that, and then so that you're, the people that are okay with that, that are okay with being challenged in that way, they're the ones who are going to come and see those shows. What we need to do is build up that base of people that are okay with that, right? And so yeah, for sure, at some point. Right. But like everything that we're going to do is still going to be missional. It's still going to speak to the glory of God. It's still going to speak to the kingdom. It's still going to speak to the divinity of Jesus Christ. And I think that's the hard part. That's the tension between the corporeal, the physical, and the divine that we always live in. We live in it daily, right? Is to say, my sinful nature wants to be compelled towards this, and God wants me to be compelled towards this. And that's the best place to dramatize. And if you're offended by that tension of dramatization, it means that you probably have a much bigger sin problem than you think you have, right? The places where I know that I get offended by or that I like take umbrage to or whatever, I'm like, that's my problem. It's not anybody else's problem. It's my problem. And I have to figure out how to handle that, right? There's certain things that I'd never want my kids to be exposed to until they're of age to understand that, but I'm not going to shelter them from the world completely. They need to know that they walk in a fallen world. And so there's a really interesting tightrope to walk there. Absolutely. that every Christian who works in the arts has to walk. It's a responsibility as well. There's a lot of weight to it. So yeah. Absolutely.
Coming to work at a Christian theater, I never would have thought that this is what it was going to be like, but I love how we challenge and I don't want to keep saying push the boundaries, but are honest. Like it is the truth. And I feel like, in your writing and everything that you said, there is audiences and there are people that try and like hide that fact or like put gold over it or try and shiny it. So
this, like Christian art has been not only divisive in contemporary culture, but it's been lambasted because the truth is that most of it's really bad. Christian film in particular is not great. And mostly the biggest reason is that a majority of the problem is the scripts. They're not honest. They don't deal with like true honest to good, like they have this veneer about them that I think the evangelical church in particular, and it's only in America for whatever reason, we have created this shroud for ourselves to protect. We're going to bubble. I'm like, do you live in the world or do you not? Because if you live in the world, it is a dark place.
It's not this.
And in order to get to the light, you have to walk through that darkness. And so that's the tension that exists. And I feel it every day. And I also relish it, though. I think it's a fun problem to solve.
Absolutely.
And to try to push Christian art to a place where it does grapple honestly with things that all of us grapple with. You know what I mean? But like there's room for those films. There's room for those, I'm gonna call them cheesy because they are cheesy. My mother and father-in-law sure love them at 87 and 85 years old, but I will turn it off in half a breath if I smell dishonesty. I'm not interested. I want honesty in my art, full stop. So, And if you're listening to this, Roger and Jan, Molay, I love you guys, and I'm not taking a shot at you.
Okay, 2 final questions. One, what is your kind of goal for this season? So we've talked about how we got here, the shows that we chose, and everything. Where do you see 80 players going? What are you hoping for this season?
We have a big goal this season, which is to grow our audiences by 15 to 20%. So that's what we're after. So if you're listening to this, share with your friends who we are, what we do, why we do it. Invite a friend to come to the theater. Get on social and tag us, or like me, get off social and never go back again because it's a terrible place. But
somebody's been spending too much time writing Crime and Punishment.
Seriously, I am now convinced that this is one of the ways that this world will be completely corrupted and fall into a disrepair is because of social media and people getting platformed. Yeah, so that's our big one this year is to really focus in on growing our audiences and making sure that people are coming back to the theater across the board in America right now. Their audiences are diminishing because. People are addicted to their cell phones. They're not even watching their televisions. They're laying in bed watching their cell phones all day long. And we're getting more and more isolated. We are, it's literally Crime and Punishment 2026. Like it's wild, but there's like this incel culture has infiltrated all of society, right? That we stay to ourselves, we get more vitriolic, we get more hateful. We start to find an enemy in absolutely everybody. And when we come together in the same place and share narrative together, my goodness, is it powerful. And so that's what we're after this summer or this year is to really try to grow that audience, is to honestly just be like more of a healing factor for society and for the city of Houston in particular than anything else. Yes, at the bottom line, it'll help the theater and we'll be able to continue to produce art at a high level. But also hey, come be a part of a very human endeavor. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Community.
Community. That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So fellowship, actual fellowship. Yeah. It's so fun. If you go to opening night parties, and I would encourage anybody listening to this to come to an opening night party, because afterwards everybody goes out in the lobby, there's free food, there's free drinks, and the conversations that happen after the shows, they're wonderful. They're awesome. And they're so much fun. And I just wish we had more of that.
Yeah. As an introvert, and again, somebody who's now only been in the theater world for 2.5 years, when I come and see a show, whether it's by myself or it's with friends or with family, when I walk out, I feel so much better. I feel lifted, and I feel that, the conversations that come out of it, and just the energy that I feel is so much you would never expect it. It's kind of like with working out as well. Nobody wants to go work out, but once you work out, you feel so much. You have all of the endorphins running through you. And so being an introvert, I'm I would much rather stay at home, but I know I'll feel better if I go out and be in community with other people. Yeah. So.
And engage in an art form that's really beautiful. You know what I mean? Listen, I like football like just like everybody else. I love baseball. I'm a big sports guy. Yeah. And many times I just want to turn a game on, but frankly, it's all the same over and over and over and over again, right? We know what's going to happen. Even if it's exciting at the end, we know what's going to happen. It's a game. One of the
teams is going to win,
Stories are what compel us. Games do not. Stories compel us. Why do you think they sell story on ESPN? They're not selling the game. They're selling the story of the game. And we just sell stories, right? That's what we do. And so, yeah, I would really hope that this is the year that people kind of lay some of that stuff aside and go, you know what, I am going to go engage again. Yeah, I'm going to be a part of these live this live storytelling, and frankly, also getting younger audiences to come.
Absolutely.
Because we're if you come to an 80-player show, but if you go to the Alley, if you go to Stages, any of the theaters in town, generally speaking, they're going to be older audiences. Oftentimes 65 plus, and. We need younger people to be a part of this, because otherwise the art form will eventually kind of wither away. Not completely die, it never will, but it'll wither away, and it will no longer be in the conscious of greater society, and that'd be a shame. So yeah,
absolutely.
So come to the theater.
Yes. You I'm so glad that you said this at the top of the episode about talking about Crime and Punishment, and 2.5 years later, here we are doing it. Do you have any predictions what shows or what we could be doing in another 2.5 years?
Well, I mean, I'm writing a comedy right now that I'm intending to put into next season that I'm very excited about. And I think our audiences are going to really love it, especially our audiences who are my age and have families and are part of, that are married. Mm-hmm. So for a long time, I wanted to write a play about a life group, a community group, a small group, and see what happens when they actually get honest. I've been a believer for a long time. I've gone to church for a very long time. I've been part of small groups for a very long time. And there's always a slight veneer about how you deal with kind of your own crap in those places and how you respond to others' crap. And sometimes it's a full veneer. It's not even a slight veneer. It's like we are clearly all lying to each other right now. And I thought, what would be fun? Let's put them all in a room and let's let them go at it, right? And really get into it and have all the real opinions come out and the real hurts and the real desires and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I came up with that premise a while ago and outlined it and have just started writing it, and it's going really easy. It's one of those shows that I think I'll be able to write in next to no time.
Yeah.
Because it's also, not lampooning evangelical culture by any means, but it's holding it accountable. It's holding it accountable for sure and saying, this is not biblical, y'all. This is a dogma that you have put over this. This is a cultural thing. This is something that society or like within greater church culture in Western American Christianity, we've accepted this as the new X, Y, or Z truth, little t truth. It's not big T truth, right? It is not based in the Bible. And so that's what I'm playing with and having fun with. And I'm doing it, as lighthearted and fun as I can. And everybody's going to see themselves in this thing 100%. Like if you are a part of a church community and you go to a small group, you are going to laugh your butt off because you recognized all of it.
Jayme, thank you so much for sitting down and talking about it next season with me. This has been wonderful.
Always a joy. Always a joy, Miranda. Thanks for having me.
You guys check out our next season. We have all the tickets are open now. Subscriptions are open. If you heard anything today that you're like, I think I would find that fascinating, or maybe you want to be challenged by something, please check out all of the shows that we have going on. Look at our subscriptions. We have 3-show subscriptions, 4-show subscriptions. We have a whole flex package, and you can find that all on our website or even in the description of this video. But thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
This has been By George, an 80 Players at the George Theater podcast, hosted and produced by Miranda Zapes. Listen anywhere you listen to podcasts and follow us on Instagram at By George Theater. That's THEATRE. Sure to like, share, and subscribe. And By George, we'll see y'all next time.